AEW Dynamite continues the push toward All In, and the show got off to a fast start with Mercedes Moné jumping Toni Storm right off the start. I do like getting these shows rolling in this way. It is kind of like in ECW, like on ECW TV before they went to TNN, and maybe even sometimes then, but they would jump into the TV mid-match. And so it's like, it feels like it's been a 30-minute classic already, and now you are seeing this great thing. So even if it's 10 minutes and you've jumped in 2 minutes into the match, it's, oh my God, this thing must be crazy. It gets you started in this like, holy crap, here we go sort of a mentality. I like how they do that with these. You don't do it every time. I will admit it's maybe happening a little bit too much in wrestling now, but it doesn't happen every time, and it just kind of ups the ante for what you are seeing, and it just makes it feel like this is a rivalry where these two can't be in the same building as each other without doing something. So I think great work to get that one set up. The Young Bucks, Will Ospreay, and Swerve Strickland now have everything set up for All In. They make it official, and the Bucks EVP power will be on the line with Ospreay and Swerve taking on the Young Bucks in what will be, I am sure, an incredible match. I actually think if you want to get away from this Young Bucks angle, this is a good way of doing it. It kind of looked like there might be something with the document shedding a while ago, which... what really happened with that? But either way, this could be a good out for it. And if All In is going to be this reset from all the things that fans are frustrated by, not just the Moxley Death Riders thing, but this Young Bucks EVP sort of a thing, this would be a really, really good place to start with all of that. And so I think they set it up really well. You have the Bucks use their powers early to force force Ospreay and Swerve to have their match an hour early. They come out, Ospreay is still taping up and still tying up his boots. Swerve, stay ready so you don't got to get ready. And they come out and have their match, but you put in just that believable, believable in a wrestling sense, abusive power. And so when they are able to vanquish these guys, it's okay, screw y'all. We want to take that away from you now. And we will. So screw you guys. We're going home. I think that was a good way and a logical way to want Will Ospreay to set that stipulation up. Of course, the build to the title match at All In continued. Moxley with a message for Hangman. And I thought it was a really solid promo. And watching this and seeing Mox cut this promo and then seeing Marina Shafir come out later, it just had me thinking, like, this Death Rider thing has gone on too long, and it has been certainly more harm than good. And while AEW is building up momentum again, it has been in spite of that storyline, not because of it, right? And it has been almost in correlation to that storyline kind of fading off a little bit. Even though it is still in main event things, it's not as ever prominent as it was. And it's frustrating because there was a lot of elements of it that I liked. Moxley as champion is great. Moxley as this character I think is actually really good, and talking about his ideas of what a world champion should be and trying to shape AEW in that image, I think is a very strong starting point. And to do that and then run through some of the young talent trying to get them to be better, I think that there is a real strong story you can tell with that. And then having this villain group that feels like it's from Batman, and the citizens of Gotham can be tortured at any moment and at any turn, and danger is always lurking. That's really fun storytelling, I think. And then Marina Shafir as a legit badass. And you bring in Cesaro and Pac as these legit badass guys. And they get away from Bryan Danielson and end this great wrestling career of this phenomenal performer that we all love. To take that away from us now because he was fading away from the image that they had. Like that is the start of something great. But the execution was so lacking, and it felt like it started at the takeover of TBS. That was really nothing, and it just stopped the momentum and got it rolling in the wrong direction, and then never felt like they knew how to fix that. And the other problem was they hadn't built up any baby faces strong enough for it. Like, the one that really got it started was Bryan Danielson. And then you run through like Orange Cassidy, and he's just not on that level to be able to be taken seriously in that way, although they try. And Darby Allin, who you time it up with him climbing a mountain and all of that. And so you don't have this second act that makes this logical or entertaining in any way. And it's just these guys bullying through people and no one getting any retribution. And it's taking all the wrong markers from the NWO and learning all the wrong lessons, from that one, and not being able to pull the nose up on it. And so to not have your baby faces ready for this and to try to kill time while they were was really detrimental. They have now built it back up with Hangman, Ospreay, Omega, Swerve, that there is a group that certainly now feels like they could be challenging for it, but it does feel like it is too late to kind of salvage anything from this. And then, the whole Hangman thing going on now. And he has more problems on the show. First of all, he beats Beast Mortos in a very fun match. And just a quick tangent here. This guy should be a real focus for any wrestling promotion he is in. Sometimes those over-the-top gimmicks can come across as lame. This doesn't feel like one of those, right? Like, there is a legitimacy in his style and in his gimmick that make him feel very legitimately interesting. And so I think this was a really fun main event here. And it was a good showcase for Hangman. Then you get the beatdown at the end. The lights go out and the Young Bucks come out and they hit the EVP trigger on Hangman. This felt like it was supposed to feel like a big moment, and it just didn't come across that way. The Bucks have been saying they did what they did to Swerve for Hangman, but I don't think we got enough between the two sides after. Like, it was a couple promos and guys got brushed off and all of that, and it just didn't seem like there was any legitimacy to it. Like, they were obviously lying, and they were obviously not a good group or anything along those lines. And so there was a bit of frustration with all of that. And so this one felt like it needed to be overdone instead of the subtlety that we got with it. And to make this feel like it was any kind of a big moment. It just felt like it happened and it was like, well, yeah, of course they did it, right? So it just didn't have that, like, oh, the betrayal that we thought it was going to. Now, I do think this will probably lead to a bigger Death Riders were with the Young Bucks all along sort of a thing. But still, this just didn't feel like it was the big moment that it was supposed to be. And then you get the Death Riders coming out and attacking with the chain and everything. The Ops come out for the save, likely setting up a 6-man for All In as well. Ospreay is in there. And so you do wonder if this is leading to, like, Hangman has no one. Ospreay and Swerve. Ospreay is obviously in. It's the Swerve thing. And they have tried to hold it off. I wish they would for forever. Like, I wish you would never tease that these two sides came together. The match that they had and everything like that, and this has happened, we'll use another example of it in AEW here in a second, but the matches they had and the feud that they had, it should never come back to, yeah, we were really shitty to each other. Sorry about that, guy. Like, they should just be rivals for forever. But it does seem like that is where this is heading. And it'll probably lead to a lovely moment as these two embrace with Hangman winning the championship on All In. And that's still where I think this goes. I've talked to some people who are kind of doubting that, but I do think that is where this particular event leads, with Hangman being the one to lead AEW into a new era. We'll get into a little bit more about AEW in just a second, but first I do want to remind you that you can support Couch Potato Diary and my cat's insatiable thirst for treats with a tip. There's a link in the description on wherever you are consuming this, in podcast form or on YouTube or Dailymotion or wherever. There is a tip link. Certainly not required, definitely not even expected, but certainly would be greatly appreciated right now. Other stuff from AEW Dynamite. It's so fun having Ibushi back. Like, just genuinely one of the best wrestlers in the world in his time. Injuries have certainly slowed that down, but the video package hyping up his return really got me. Like, so many amazing memories from a build and a storyline that I think will go down as one of the better ones in pro wrestling history. And I said it in the preview of Dynamite. It feels like having Ibushi back is a really good kind of storytelling device while Omega is selling an injury. And so to see Ibushi and Okada on US TV teased for next week is just kind of a holy shit moment that is tough to get in a company that has kind of blasted through a lot of those. The Ricochet and AR Fox stuff was kind of interesting. I was wondering for a second if you might get the Ricochet AR Fox team because of a long history with those two. Instead, it's a bit predictable with Ricochet turning on him and all of that. But I am interested if there is a bit more of a spotlight on AR Fox. Like, the level of talent in that individual is just absurd, and I think those guys could do magic together. Jet Speed are challenging the Hurt business. it's not exactly the all-in build I would want for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. Look, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, they are really fun right now. I just don't view them as on that level. And when you look at a company that was built off of elite tag team wrestling, pardon the pun, I just don't know if those guys are at that point yet. They're both very, very fun wrestlers, but it feels like another Top Flight and something like that, where it's just, all right, why should we get behind you? Because we're fun. It's like, okay, why should we take you guys seriously? Because we're fun. It's like, I'm not there. And I like, again, incredibly talented human beings as performers. I just don't view these guys on this level. And I've said it before, like the Mike Bailey thing just doesn't click with me. It for whatever reason, that is the line I have apparently drawn in believability stuff and all of that. He is an incredible athlete. He's an incredible performer, and he does some fantastic in-ring things. But that is 90% of this roster, and I don't think he does anything to stand out from almost anyone else. So I appreciate what he does, but I am firmly in the this is one I don't get camp. I'm very interested in a Chris Statlander turn again. She gets the win in the Women's Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal with some help, of course, from Marina Shafir. And I do think that if All In goes the way I think it's going to, and you get Paige defeating Jon Moxley for the championship, I think you can continue the Death Rider storyline, and it's Marina Shafir is the one who is kind of leading this group. And it's kind of a group of women who are trying to do kind of the same thing and talking about how the group lost their way or something along those lines. But this is still the message. This is still the mission of this group, and have her kind of lead it, and having Statlander in that as well, I think would be kind of interesting. The one thing is a little bit is that we just did this. Why are we doing this again with Statlander? Not that, I guess. Why didn't we stick with it the first time? She has one of, honestly, I thought the feud of the year with Willow Nightingale, building up to a street fight that is just this all-time blood match for these two. And then like 25 minutes later, Statlander's a babyface again. And just like, why are we doing it? It was such a waste of an awesome story and an awesome thing. And so this could be a correction for that. And so cool, I guess. That is what AEW is doing. And it feels like I'm being overly negative on a lot of things. I really enjoyed this show, and I think there's potential in this one. But it is just, again, going back to some of the frustrations of no, you had this already, and all of that. But on the other side of it, like, Willow feels like a superstar. Her presence is amazing. If Mercedes is the one to win at All In, I could honestly see Willow being the one that eventually tops her and tries to build the momentum off of that. Although I would also say Willow in the Timeless Vortex would just be a ton of fun. Mark Briscoe gets the win in the Casino Gauntlet. He gets the #1 spot. Good for him to get a win, because he has just kind of been used as he can afford to lose, so let him get his ass kicked in this spot. And that can wear on a guy at some point, I would imagine. So good to get him back. Using a match to get the #1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet, I do think it's a great storytelling device. It highlights one of the most unique new matches that has been made in a really long time with this Casino Gauntlet, and I love it. The thing is, though, it is tricky to drive home how important that #1 spot is while still fulfilling what you want out of a Casino Gauntlet, because it is built in the image of the Royal Rumble, right? And it is built as a kind of an offshoot of that, with like surprises and big moments can come out of this thing, and surprise matchups can come out of this that can set you up now for a year down the road. And so there's that. And so when you want to have all of those things and incorporate that into a long match, it is then tough to say, oh, but by the way, being the first one in this 45-minute match is actually a benefit. And so I think if you were to try to book it in a way that makes this feel like a real legitimate, like, hey, you have to just waste one of these. And it has to be like a Casino Gauntlet that's actually like 4 minutes long. And the first guy just goes out, kicks the shit out of the second guy, and boom, maybe a third guy comes in, and then boom, it's over. It would be wildly unsatisfying, but kind of a fun way to build up that #1 spot. But either way, it's a fun match. It's great that Mark Briscoe gets that spot, and it's going to be an interesting gimmick coming up at All In. Adam Cole cuts a promo as well, and finally, this was a moment that Adam Cole felt like Adam Cole, baby, and felt like a big deal again. Like that whole MJF thing with how it ended, and he's actually the devil, and then he comes back and, no, guys, I'm actually a good guy. And he comes back, and there are comments about the physique and all of those things, and you get a lot of jokes of the Eric Bischoff, he needed a tan thing, and everything like that, and it just... a lot of aura has been lost around Adam Cole. And so hopefully we are on track to get that back. It is going to take a lot of rehab. And honestly, the TNT championship isn't helping. And I don't think he is helping it out either. And that's at a time where the world title, we haven't visibly seen it in over a year now with the Moxley thing. And it felt like the TNT championship could have been, a benefactor of that. And instead, it just hasn't really clicked in that way. So again, I am hopeful that Adam Cole, with his amazing abilities, can get it back to feeling like Adam Cole Bebe, because that is a very big benefit for a television program. But I am at the point where I will believe it when I see it. Overall, this was a really good show. I think they are building up the main angles very, very well. You got some high quality wrestling, and it's just another strong AEW night leading to its biggest show of the year. One more note, it's not exactly tied to AEW, but MJF showing up at MLW to attack Mystico is so good. I loved the MJF character at the peak of MLW and the dynasty that was with that. We've had Richard Holloway on the show before. That was a weird interview. But that whole thing, that was set up so Hammerstone was introduced in that whole angle as well. So that was so great. And so to use MJF's tie-in with that, and then just to use another promotion in general, while that is kind of all the rage right now, is so smart of AEW. And you guys know, if you saw the video up on YouTube, and the audio will be on Living Room Lariat later on today, you guys know I love a good wrestling partnership. This advances the story so well. It is a perfect use of a partnership with another promotion. I thought it was great, and just drives home, like, no matter where in the United States of America Mystico is, MJF will follow, and I think it is going to set up a really good match at All In. So some very good things happening in the world of AEW right now. Do want to remind you guys, there is a new wrestling podcast from Couch Potato Diary, Living Room Lariat. It is going to have all the wrestling content from Couch Potato Diary with some exclusives not available on the flagship podcast. So make sure you check out Living Room Lariat. First episode coming out later on today.